أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا.
Okay, this hadith in Arabic, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna akhwaf ma akhafu alaykum al-shirk al-asghar." The Sahaba asked, "What is the shirk al-asghar? Wama al-shirk al-asghar, ya Rasulullah?" And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Riyaa." So this hadith, basically what the author did was summarized it. The full hadith would be, the Prophet said in English, "The thing I fear most for you is the lesser of the shirk, or the small shirk." Then the Sahaba asked, "O Prophet of Allah, what is the small shirk?" Then the Prophet ﷺ said, "Riyaa," which is showing off good deeds. The basic word we're talking about, the first one, if you want to sum it up in one word, we talked about oppression. This dhulm. The second one is going to be about Riyaa, which is showing off good deeds. What's the definition of Riyaa? The definition of Riyaa is to make your worship, your ibadah, your worship better so that people can see it and you get closer to them with that. Again, to make your ibadah better, ibadah means your worship. To make your worship better so that people see it and get closer, and you get closer to them with that. You try to get closer to them with that, either by them praising you or by them thinking better of you, and it's really the matter that you're doing is supposed to be for Allah. Basically what it is, to do something, some matter of worship, so that people can praise you. The lessons of the hadith, the first lesson of the hadith is that this shows you the mercy of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ upon us. Because the Prophet ﷺ fears for us. He fears that something may happen to us, whether it may be that we be thrown in hell, or whether it may be that we do our deeds in vain, or that Allah dooms us. Shows you, the basic point is that the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ to us. How? Because he says, "I fear most for you." He fears this for us, meaning he's concerned for us, he fears for us. So that shows the mercy of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Number two lesson from the hadith is that there's sins worse than each other. There's sins that are worse than each other, meaning sins are not all in one level. There's sins that are above each other. Who can tell me how we can withdraw that from this hadith? No. How you? I said, the second point I said is the Prophet ﷺ, from this hadith we learn that not all sins are equal. Some sin could be bad, some medium, some low. How do we get it from this hadith?
He put a point where it would also show if it was said just generally.
Nope, that's what Musa just said.
No, if you give an example, the example he gave.
Doesn't matter. How do you know from this hadith that there's sins worse than each other? Sins worse than each other. Look at the hadith. Read it.
I think. Is the level for you? Oh, the things I think I fear most.
Most. It's obvious. Read the hadith. He said most, meaning there's other things that he fears for us. They're not the most. This is among the most things. So this shows you that sins are not all in one category. Sins are above each other. Some are worse, some are a little bit less. The third lesson from this hadith is that there's a lesser shirk. So what does that mean? There's a big shirk. And that's what we have, a shirk asghar and shirk akbar. And that shows you that this classification of shirk asghar and shirk akbar was from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Isn't bigger shirk worse?
What bigger shirk is worse? Yes.
How come he doesn't fear bigger shirk more?
The reason he doesn't fear bigger shirk more, he does fear it, but he doesn't fear more because we're going to get to a hadith that this is something that nearly affects most of the Muslims. The bigger shirk, rarely, it's exception to anyone. This one, nearly every single Muslim has to struggle with it. Every single Muslim. The other one, no, it's not. In one of the hadith that's going to come up, the Prophet ﷺ said that shirk is like the crawling of an ant. It hits you and you don't even. An ant could be crawling on, you don't feel it, and that's the same way the shirk comes to you. So this shirk affects all Muslims, the other shirk doesn't. This shirk, one of the dangers of this shirk, to start off, is that this shirk usually, if you don't cure it, ends up making you a hypocrite, basically. How? All your ibadah. You start off a little bit of your worship. Say, hey, let me go so the Shaykh can see how I read Quran and I show off in front of him. Then you go and you make your salah bigger so your friends can see how long you stay in the salah. If you don't cure that disease, you're going to start making your whole salah for your friends. All of it for your friends. You're going to start making all your Quran for your friends. You're going to start making all your charity for your friends. That's why this is so dangerous. Okay. Next point is there's a ibadah that was done and it was tainted with Riyaa. Okay? What's Riyaa, Musa? What's Riyaa?
Showing off.
You don't know the main point we're trying to. Okay. Okay. When I ask someone, let him answer because I want to wake him up. When ibadah is tainted with Riyaa, what happens to that ibadah? Meaning, basically in Arabic, the hukum. What's the ruling on that ibadah? The ruling on ibadah that's been tainted with Riyaa. This Riyaa had to have happened either before or after the ibadah was done. Let's take after. I prayed 2 rak'ahs over here and there was no Riyaa, no showing off in them. But after that, someone came up to me and says, wow, I seen you pray those 2 rak'ahs, that was real good. That does not affect the ibadah itself. The ibadah, you still get the reward for it and there's no problem with that. Unless you don't struggle with that. Unless you don't fight it out. You like it. You start pulling your chest up and you say, yeah, it was real good. And you start talking about your own salah or your own deed. So basically, if the Riyaa comes to you after you've done the deed, basically the ruling on that, your deed is good. Unless you go with the flow of the shaitan. Your deed is good unless you go with the flow of the shaitan. Now, what if the Riyaa comes to you within that matter of worship? You get up to pray and you're by yourself. I got up to pray and I'm by myself. And then people started walking in. And I was really going to make it a snappy 2 rak'ahs. When people started walking in, I made it long 2 rak'ahs. Now, the ruling on that, first of all, the ibadat, they're either connected or disconnected. What do I mean by connected and disconnected? For example, salah is all connected. There's nothing, you can't separate it. So I'm in a prayer, someone comes in, and I make it longer. According to most scholars, that invalidates that prayer. It invalidates that prayer. Some scholars do say it invalidates the addition. But the true opinion on that is it invalidates all that prayer. Because shirk, Riyaa entered in it, it kills it. I say again, some scholars said the additional part is not what's going to be. It's not going to be accepted. The original is going to be accepted, but that's a weaker of the 2 opinions. Now, what if it's disconnected? Ibadah that's disconnected. Meaning, I heard someone say give charity. And I was already going to give $20. But when I seen other people looking, I pulled out another $50. Now, when it's disconnected, I already got the ajr for the $20. I gave that for the sake of Allah. I'll get the reward from that. Then I pulled out another $50 for Riyaa. I will not get the ajr for that second part. So, the Ibadah, let me go over it again. Ibadah and Riyaa. What's the ruling on that? If the Riyaa comes to you after the Ibadah, finish it off for me. You get credit for the deed unless you go with the flow with the shaitan. The second one, it's the A, B, and a C. The second one is the B. If the Ibadah is the connected kind of Ibadah, like what? Prayer. And I make the lay prolong it additionally, what's the opinion on that? It doesn't count according to most scholars. Some scholars said it does count, but the addition doesn't count. No, that's not true. When shirk Riyaa enters a connected Ibadah, it ruins it all. What if it's a disconnected Ibadah? I have 20 surely for the sake of Allah, and 50. 50 I gave after I seen people talk about me. I get reward for, and not for the 50. Okay, C now. What's going to be C?
You did the whole thing.
You got up and prayed. You seen everyone sitting here, and out of the blue, you just got up and prayed. Or you seen everyone looking at you. You went and grabbed the Quran, started reading, so everyone can see. Or you're sitting here and you started doing dhikr. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. You're really not doing it for Allah. You're doing it because you want people to think good of you. That is automatic answer on that is. No, because you didn't do it for Allah. You got your reward. People looked at you, they liked you, they praised you, you got your reward. So there's 3 categories. Everyone understand them? No, that's not right. The first one is A, if the Riyaa comes to you after your Ibadah. Number B is if Riyaa comes to you within. And that's either connected or disconnected. B has a 1 and a 2 to it. Connected, it's not going to be accepted. Disconnected, it's going to be accepted. The portion of it that's for the sake of Allah is going to be accepted. The portion that you did for Riyaa is not going to be accepted. The C now is that I got up for Riyaa. I got up to pray totally for Riyaa. To start off with, there's no reward on that, no question and no doubt upon that. Okay, the next portion of this is that shirk is asghar and shirk is akbar. We got shirk asghar and shirk akbar. Small and big. Big, who knows the big shirk? What is it? Yeah, that's the definition of it. But what is it?
It's like
Shirk al-Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, Asma and Sifat. Okay, we're not going to get into this. Why? Because this does not relate to our hadith, and we can go on for days talking about these in last weeks. Basically, Rububiyyah is to say there's 2 gods. 2 gods. One creates the good, one creates the evil. Or to say in Uluhiyyah, I pray for the sake of that statue. Or Asma wa Sifat is to say Allah has a hand just like my hand, for example, or something like that. Now, we got shirk over here. Uluhiyyah, Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, Asma and Sifat. Now in small shirk, which we probably never took, is we got hidden and apparent. That's the category. This is what we're going to occupy ourselves with. Why are we going to take care of this one? Because this is the hadith. We're talking about small shirk. So we got apparent shirk and we got hidden shirk. Hidden. Let's start with apparent. Words. Apparent has 2 categories to it, which is words and actions. Words, who can tell me apparent shirk? That's small shirk in words. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what I was looking for. You say by giving oath. The Prophet ﷺ says, whomever gives an oath by other than Allah has committed shirk. And that is the small shirk right here. Or a man came to the Prophet ﷺ he said, whatever Allah wills and you will. And the Prophet ﷺ got upset and said, you make me a partner to Allah. That's a small shirk of words. Then you got actions. Who can give me an example of actions?
A rabbit's foot. That's good one.
Exactly. That's exactly. Wearing amulets or a ring. Like I say, this ring, you know what, gives me good luck. Or a rabbit's foot. Or, you know, a lot of people wear that Quran here and they believe that Quran is going to protect them. Or how could that, Musa, how could that be shirk akbar?
Start really believing in it like higher than Allah, like you don't believe in
You're a master of Tawheed. This guy is a master of Tawheed. Unbelievable. Okay, that amulet I wear, or that rabbit's tail that I have, or that ring that I have, if I believe that's a cause for me to get good luck, that's shirk asghar. If I believe that in itself provides good and bad for me, that becomes shirk, takes me out of Islam. So I believe that ring or whatever is, going to help me, is a cause. It's going to be one of the causes to help me. That's shirk asghar. It's not going to take me out of Islam. But if I believe that in itself is a source of good and bad, that's shirk akbar. Everyone understand that? Okay, let me repeat it one more time. We got apparent shirk. Apparent shirk, small shirk is two categories. Hidden and apparent. Apparent one is two categories. Words and actions. Words, like giving an oath by other than Allah, or saying what Allah, for example, the Prophet ﷺ died so long ago, and you tell me what time you're going to bring me my food. And your answer is, when Allah and the Prophet ﷺ wills, I'll bring you your food. That's apparent shirk. Small shirk in words. The next one is actions. Action is to wear a ring, to wear a bracelet, the Quran, and believe that's a cause for you to achieve something good, or it's a cause. That's small shirk. If you believe that in itself is going to bring you good or bad, then that becomes shirk akbar. Now we go to the hidden part. What's the hidden part? What's the hidden part? What's the hidden part?
Maybe like you do it and you don't know it.
The hidden part. We went through all this to get to the hidden part. The hidden part is perfecting your prayer for other people. Giving charity so other people can praise you. Reciting Quran so people can...
So to do something when people don't know what you're...
The definition that we talked about. The only reason I brought it is so you won't be confused. You have to know that the Prophet ﷺ said shirk asghar. You have to know shirk asghar is into two. The hidden shirk is the shirk that you do. The definition I gave you early on in the class today. Making an ibadah for other than Allah, or combining him with in your ibadah. Perfecting your salah, perfecting your Quran for other people, prolonging your Quran, giving extra charity so other people can see. Allah in the Quran says,
فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا.
Whomever wishes Allah on the judgment day, فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه, let him do good deeds, فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك, and not commit no shirk in it. So if you want Allah on the judgment day and the goodness of the judgment day, do good deeds, ولا يشرك, and commit no shirk. That's the small shirk that we're talking about here. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah says, this is the shirk that is a sea with no shore to it. He described this shirk as a sea with no shore to it, and he said very few of this ummah are ever saved from it. Then he gave advice that one should stay away from this shirk, Riyaa. The next point is that the Prophet ﷺ said, a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, the shirk is in the ummah. more hidden than the crawling of the ants. You know how ants crawl and you can't hear them? The same way ants can crawl and you can't hear them and you can't see them unless you look very well for them. The same way this infects you without even knowing it. The Sahaba asked, so what do we do, O Prophet of Allah? And the Prophet ﷺ said, you make a dua, and that dua is, oh Allah, I seek refuge that I commit shirk in you without me knowing it. You guys can write this later on. I'm going to write it now. But you can write it later on. Yes, more secretive, more hidden than the crawling of an ant. No, that's addition from you. Okay, that's the dua that the Prophet ﷺ taught. Allahumma inni. Wait. A'udhu. There's a'udhu right here. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika an ushrika bika wa ana a'lam wa astaghfiruka lima la a'lam. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you that I commit shirk in you while I know it. And I ask you for forgiveness for that which I don't know. That's the dua for this type of shirk. That after this I'll repeat it over so you guys can all write it. Okay. The next point. What is the effect of the shirk? What does it do to your deed? What does the shirk do to your deed?
Takes them away.
Takes away your deed. Could you get sins for this? Shirk?
Yeah.
If I get up and pray 2 rak'ahs and I got up to pray 2 rak'ahs just to make you guys like me more or think of me I'm more pious. That's the only reason I prayed those 2 rak'ahs. Okay. That makes that salah I prayed, I got a 0 out of it. I just wasted my time. I got a 0. How could I get a sin out of this kind of shirk?
You didn't pray.
If you do a third salah.
Exactly. If you do a fard salah and you commit this kind of shirk in it. I got up to pray, you know what? I was sitting over there and I wasn't going to pray the Dhuhr or the Asr. And because you guys are here, I got up to pray the Dhuhr or the Asr. Just for you guys.
Yeah, but even if it's not fard, wouldn't it be haram just to get up and pray 2 rak'ahs?
You don't get sins for it.
You're doing it for all of them.
You don't get sins for it. It doesn't count. You get X'd out. And you should kill it. You should suppress it. If you keep doing that, if you keep doing this, it's going to make all your deeds going. Only someone who fights this temptation would do it once in a while for other people. If you keep doing it, it's going to lead you to become a hypocrite. But the way you can get sins out of this if it's a fard. I went to go to Hajj just so people can call me Hajj Ahmad. That makes it, I got a sin. Why? Because Hajj is fard. I'm supposed to do it. The Hajj is invalid because I did this shirk and Riyaa. So that means I get a sin. I got up to pray to please you guys, Salat al-Dhuhr, I get a sin. I got up to please you with the 2 rak'ahs after Salat al-Dhuhr, the sunnah, that just gets X'd out. Zero deeds. Okay, the next point, what if the best example, I give it to you an example. If I do something for 2 reasons. For example, the best example for this would be if I go to jihad to fight for the sake of Allah and I want money, booty. You know, when you fight in jihad in the Muslim state, the booty of the enemies, what happens to that? Gets split up among the soldiers. We start off with the soldiers. They get the biggest percent. I go up, you say, you know what? Well, I like to fight for the sake of Allah. I want to defend the Muslim land, but you know what? I also want some of that booty. That's why I went there. I've given you 2 scenarios. The next one is someone who went for jihad and he wants people to say, this guy has a lot of courage. Man, he left all his family and all his house and he has a lot of courage in the fighting. What's the hukum for the 2 and what's the difference between the 2? I go for jihad. Let's start off with the easy one. And I say, I want to fight jihad so people can say I'm a good warrior.
So for Allah and your...
Both, yeah.
It doesn't count as
It has to be 100%. That one for sure. No question about it. Because in fact there's a special hadith. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, a man went for jihad and to be mentioned in good. What did he get out of it? The Prophet, he sincerely went for jihad. Part of it. Like maybe 85, 90%, 95, could have been 99% he went for jihad. 1% just so people can talk. What did he get? The Prophet ﷺ said nothing. The man said, a man went for jihad and to be mentioned in good. What did he get? The Prophet said nothing. 3 times he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah la yaqbal, Allah doesn't accept except that which is 100% for his sake. Now let's go to the second one, the harder one. They die a Muslim, but they don't get the great reward for that being a martyr. We treat them as a martyr because we don't know what's in their hearts. But in front of Allah, it's different. The next one is someone who said, I want to go for jihad and get booty. What is that? Okay, the answer to that, Ibn al-Qayyim says he gets nothing out of it. That's the opinion of Ibn al-Qayyim. Ibn Rajab and a lot of other scholars said he gets reward for it. What's the difference to Ibn Rajab between the second one and the first one that I mentioned? There's no difference. Ibn al-Qayyim said there's no difference. Ibn Rajab said there's a difference. And I think there is a difference. The difference is taking the booty is a legit cause. You can't go for the sake of Allah and get that wealth to you. You know, that's one of the things that encourages. It's part of the benefits of jihad. It's no problem someone seeks that. However, it's not like some guy who went solely for the sake of Allah. He doesn't want nothing. He's not going to take nothing. And another guy who went for the sake of Allah and for that. The difference between the two, one is a legitimate reason. It's one of the benefits that Allah approved for us and gave us. The first one is nah. And you apply this rationale. The reason, the jihad example I gave you is the easiest one, so you can understand it. But you apply this rationale to anything else similar to this. Okay, the next point is how you know Shirk al-Asghar when you see it. Shirk al-Asghar, this is general, not just about Riyaa. Shirk al-Asghar has to be mentioned in the Quran or the Sunnah, always. The next point is that Shirk al-Asghar must have proof that it's not from Shirk al-Akbar. So this one we know it's not Shirk al-Akbar because the Prophet ﷺ said that in the hadith. So there's two rules for Shirk al-Asghar. First of all, that the Prophet or Allah has to say that it's shirk. The second one, they have to say that it's not of the major shirk. That's how you know it's Shirk al-Asghar or not. There's two ways to know Shirk al-Asghar. First one is it has to be mentioned in the Quran or in the Hadith that it's shirk. Number 2, it has to be mentioned in the Quran and Hadith that it's not Shirk al-Akbar in some way or some form. That's how we know Shirk al-Asghar. Other than that, it would be Shirk al-Akbar. Okay, now the kinds of Riyaa. The first Riyaa, the classifications. The first Riyaa is physical Riyaa. You know how that is? Like some guy going and pretending he's weak. And he's doing that in the purpose of what?
Someone can help him.
No.
Gain sympathy.
For what? To show that he's fasting. You know, his lips are dry and he's trying to make it obvious his lips are dry and he's made to let other people. Why? Just so people can know that. Or he's showing, you know, you guys go play and he doesn't want to play. And he wants you to ask him, why aren't you playing? So you can, I'm fasting. He wants to make it obvious in some physical appearance. Or he gets up and he makes his face in some way or somehow yellowish. You know, doesn't take care of himself. And the reason he does that, he wants people to think he prays all night long and he makes salah all night long and he worships Allah all night long. Or he doesn't comb his hair. And the reason he doesn't come is there, he wants to make people think that all he's worried about is the Muslims and Islam and the causes of Islam. These are categories that the scholar said is among the Riyaa. So basically all falls under physical Riyaa. The second one is the Riyaa in appearance. The first one is physical, the second one is in appearance. Like wearing thick clothes or clothes that are all stitched up and say, why? Well, all I care about is Islam and all I've been doing is praying at night. Or like the Sufis do, they work very, very, very thick clothing, some of them in a way to show off. So the second one, and the reason they do that, a lot of people would do that, is to show zuhud. Zuhud means that you're careless of this life and you're among the people of a life after. Some of this stuff may be good, but the point about it is you should know this so you'll avoid the riya in these matters. The third one is in saying, and that's like reciting Quran, verbal, anything verbal. You start doing dhikr so people can say, wallah, you're doing dhikr. You start moving your lips so people can think you're doing dhikr. You take a Quran and you start reading. The next one is, what's the next one? It's the obvious. We took physical, we took appearance, we took saying, actions, like salah. The next one is riya in friendship. For example, I'm a bum, and I hang around with good people sometimes. Why? To show people, well, look, this guy, he is good. Because his friends are sheikhs. But he does it not to learn or benefit. He does it so people can say that he's good. These are any riya that you have is going to fall under one of these 5 categories. Why we mention them? So you can stay away from them. Okay, we got one last point. What is it going to be? What's it going to be? It's obvious. Cure. The cure. What's the cure for Riyaa? The best and most cure? Dua. Number 1 is dua. That Allahumma inni a'udhu bika an ushrika bika wa ana a'lam wa astaghfiruka lima la a'lam. Number 2. Who can tell me something for cure? Do your deeds in secrecy. Do your deeds in secrecy unless you have to do them in public. Do your deeds in secrecy. Like, first that point is do your deeds in secrecy. The second one is do a lot of the deeds that no one knows about. Like, for example, let me give you an example of the second one. Second one is, I'm going to the masjid. The masjid has a lot of people there. I have the choice between praying the 2 dhuhr rak'ahs in the masjid, or I have the choice of praying those 2 rak'ahs in my house. Which one should I do? If you want to kill Riyaa, or you're in the process of killing that disease within you, you pray them over here instead of the masjid, so people don't know. The third point is, do the deeds that are usually done in secrecy. One of those is salah or night prayer. No one knows of those unless you go talk about them. The next one is do more deeds in private than you would ever do in public. Because you know what? If you only do 2 rak'ahs in the masjid and people see you, that's going to bolster your riya. But if you pray 200 rak'ahs at home and you only do 2 in the masjid, it's not even going to hit your mind, the riya. So do more ibadat, more worship in privacy than you would do in public. The next one is know and keep in mind what you're doing this for. Why are you doing ibadah? For the life after. To preserve you in the life after. So when you're doing it for the life after, you get your reward to it. If you do it for people, they're going to talk about you, they're going to think good of you, and that's about it. You do it for the life after, Allah will be happy with you, and Jannah will be your reward. Keep that thought in mind always. So, also in keeping that thought in mind, you say to yourself, who is that person, human being, just like me and him, that I would want to please or make him think of me better. Big deal. Who is he? Who does he think he is? You go for a bigger goal. You go for Allah and the Jannah. The next one is friendship. Have good friendship. Because when you have good friendship, and they're good, and they read like 2 juz of Quran, and you only read half a juz, there's not going to be no Riyaa there. Not only that, they help you kill Riyaa by other means as well. That's about it on that matter. Anyone have any questions? Okay, let me add one more point. And this is an obvious point. This is an important point. People who leave deeds for Riyaa. You know what? You go to the mosque. You go to the mosque and you say, should I pray the 2 rak'ahs or not? Because I think people are looking at me and Riyaa may come to me. I'm not going to pray them. Should you do that? Leaving deeds for Riyaa. Leaving deeds in that particular situation is from the devil. Because the devil is going to come to you and tell you everything is Riyaa and you leave everything. So if that happens to you, what you do is fight your struggle. In your heart, try to fight it, that this is for the sake of Allah, and get up and do it. Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, a big scholar, said, if the shaitan comes to you before or during salah, and he says you're doing Riyaa, or people are looking at you, or prolong it, then make it longer. Make it longer, why? To try to kill that feeling within you. Make it longer and fight that temptation. Some of the scholars in the past, like for example, some of the Sahaba and after them, when someone walked in and they're reading Quran, they would take away the pages so no one will see them. That's for something you could do later. For example, you're sitting here and you could do it later on, and you fear Riyaa, and you have the exact same time to do it later on. It's merely reading Quran. You're going to do those 2 pages later on anyways, or you could do them later on. Okay, prolong it. But if it's something that only be done at that time, like the 2 rak'ahs of Dhuhr, and you're in a masjid before Dhuhr, then you should pray them and fight that temptation. If it's something you can delay, for example, like Quran, then you have the option of either fighting your temptation or doing it when no one is around. With that we end it. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.